Today, we're going to dive into the life of a truly remarkable figure, Sant Dnyaneshwar. He was a poet, a philosopher, and a saint from way back in the 13th century, and his ideas lit the fuse for a spiritual revolution. You know, what's just incredible is how his voice, even after more than 700 years, still resonates with millions of people today.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the legacy that's still alive and kicking today. Then we'll journey back in time to meet the teenage revolutionary himself. We'll get into his tough upbringing, his incredible philosophy of unity, the movement he helped create, and we'll end with his absolutely beautiful prayer for the entire world.
So we're actually not starting in the past. We're starting right here in the present day, with one of the most amazing displays of faith you could ever imagine. It's a tradition that literally turns the roads of Maharashtra into rivers of pure devotion. Picture this. Every single year, this massive pilgrimage, called the Wari, happens. The devotees, they're called Varkaris, and they walk for 21 straight days, covering about 150 kilometers. And their destination? The Temple of Vitala, in a town called Pandharpur. I mean, it is a truly astonishing sight, just a sea of people all moving together, united in song and spirit. You see, the pilgrims carry this ornate palanquin which holds the symbolic silver sandals from Dnyaneshwar's shrine. This whole journey is just powerful proof of a devotion that time hasn't been able to touch. So let's get into it. Who was this person who could inspire this kind of enduring love?
See, to really get Dnyaneshwar's impact, you have to understand he wasn't just some quiet saint. Oh no, he was a revolutionary. And he kicked off his entire revolution with a pen, when he was just a teenager.
Yep, you heard that right, 16. In the year 1290, at the unbelievable age of 16, Dnyaneshwar wrote something that would completely change the spiritual map of his world forever. So the Bhagavad Gita was written in Sanskrit, and back then, Sanskrit was basically a closed-off language, only understood by the priestly Brahmin elite. What Dnyaneshwar did was he took all that profound wisdom and wrote his commentary, the Nine-stanza, in Marathi, the language that everybody spoke. Now, this was so much more than a translation. It was a radical act. Think of it like a 13th century open access movement. He was tearing down the firewalls that kept spiritual knowledge locked away from ordinary people. He believed this wisdom belonged to everyone, no matter their caste, their gender, or how much schooling they'd had. But what made him so incredibly passionate about equality? Well, to get that, we have to look at the really painful story of his own life, a childhood that was basically forged in the fire of social persecution. It really all started with his dad, who had become a renunciate, but was then ordered by his guru to return to his family. This was considered a huge sin by the rigid orthodoxy of the time. Because of that one act, the entire family was excommunicated. Dnyaneshwar and his siblings were branded outcasts from birth, denied basic human rights. The persecution was so relentless that his parents eventually took their own lives, hoping that maybe, just maybe, their sacrifice would free their children from this social prison. This deep personal experience with injustice, well, it became the fuel for his entire mission. So, coming from this background of total exclusion, Dnyaneshwar developed a philosophy that was just the opposite. It was radically inclusive, a vision of unity that flew right in the face of the rigid rules of his day. This led to a huge shift in thinking. You see, a lot of traditional views at the time saw the world as mithya, an illusion you needed to escape from. Dnyaneshwar just flipped that script. He called it chidvilas, the conscious, joyous play of the divine. For him, the world wasn't a trap to be escaped. It was a real, direct, and beautiful expression of God. And this whole philosophy was built on one core idea, spiritual equality. He said the path to God wasn't some exclusive club for the highborn or for people who knew complex rituals. Nope, it was through Bhakti, pure, simple devotion. And that path was open to absolutely everyone. It wasn't about running away from the world. It was about embracing your life and turning your everyday duties into an act of worship. Now, Dnyaneshwar wasn't just some lone voice shouting in the wilderness. He was a central figure in what's called the Varkari Bhakti movement, a powerful spiritual wave that swept through the region, all built on a fellowship of these amazing poet saints. He was part of this whole constellation of brilliant spiritual minds, but his connection with his contemporary, Sant Dnyaneshwar, was something special. They weren't just colleagues, they were close friends who traveled on pilgrimages together, writing and singing these devotional songs.
You could say Dnyaneshwar brought the deep philosophical foundation, while Namdev, who was a tailor, brought this passionate, everyday energy that people could instantly connect with. Their partnership was a real powerhouse that amplified their message of equality and really cemented the Varkari movement. Dnyaneshwar's life was incredibly short, but the way he left the world, well, it was just as conscious and profound as the way he had lived. At just 21 years old, feeling he had completed his life's work, Dnyaneshwar chose to enter what's known as Sanjeevan Samadhi. He walked into a sealed underground chamber in Alandi and voluntarily left his physical body while in a state of profound meditation. And to this very day, millions of his followers believe he is still alive in that chamber, in a state of eternal conscious meditation. Right at the very end of his great work, the Dnyaneshwari, just before he entered Samadhi, he offered one final prayer. But here's the thing. This prayer, the Pasaydan, it asks for absolutely nothing for himself. Instead, it was this incredible blessing for the well-being of the entire universe. And this prayer, it's just the ultimate expression of his entire philosophy. Just listen to what he asks for. He doesn't just ask for peace. He asks that wicked people might find a desire to do good. He prays for a universal harmony between all beings, for ignorance to be replaced by the light of truth, and for the needs of every single living creature to be met. It is the most selfless prayer you can imagine, a blessing for the whole world. And that really leaves us with something to think about, right? Dnyaneshwar's life, born an outcast, lived as a true revolutionary, and ending with a prayer that embraced his enemies and friends alike. It really challenges us. His message to see the divine in the world around us and in each other, and to truly wish for universal good, well, that's a timeless call to unity that feels more urgent and more necessary today than ever before.